Never kill one of your family members. Thank you. You're welcome.
Before we begin, here's a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or therapy. Nothing shared on this show should be taken as professional guidance. If you're struggling or feel you may be in crisis, please call 988. Reach out to a qualified mental health professional or someone you trust who can connect you with immediate support, or call 911 for emergencies. Enjoy the show. Welcome, everyone, to the Man Up Together podcast. My name is Alex Peskin, and I'm here with my co-host and lifelong friend, Bobby Jacobs.
So we're here, episode 9.
That's right.
Exciting. 9th time we're doing this. I think we're getting into the swing of it. The last episode, I traveled this week, so I listened to it on the airplane. It was a lot of fun. It's still weird listening to yourself.
Yes,
talking.
agreed.
I really feel like we're starting to figure out more and more of what this looks like and what we want this to be. Having a great time. I hope you're having a great time doing it.
Yeah.
And for those that continue to listen, thank you. Really, really appreciate it. I have some family up in the Northeast that discovered the podcast this week, which is a lot of fun.
Love it.
I learned that I had to share a podcast on my phone through the podcast apps, which means that there were people that I wanted to share it with, right?
Yeah. I guess on that note, if this is the first time anyone's listening, or even just maybe the second episode, welcome. And we love that you're here and hope that you get something out of this, enjoy this, and want to stay and share this with even more people.
Absolutely.
So let's jump in now. We've got 3 segments as usual. We're going to do Why Do Men Like This? Then we're going to talk about apologies today as our deep dive. And we have a new closing segment. Instead of mistakes, wins, and challenges, we're going to do something else. So stay tuned for our new one. Hope people like this. Would love some feedback. Let's get into our Why Do Men Like This? Because I think it'll give us some good things to talk about. So today for
Why Do Men Like This?
we are going to talk about road rage. Why do men like road rage? And maybe that's not the perfect way to put it, but maybe it is. And again, people other than men do this as well.
I did want to caveat this. I need to give a shout out to my wife on this one. Not a man, obviously. Learned how to drive in Philadelphia. Is a big fan of road rage.
Big fan of road rage. So when you're driving the family and something comes out for you, she's like, yeah, Bobby, right?
Absolutely not. No, I am not allowed to participate in this activity. However, she is very much allowed to participate in the activity. I bring that up just to say, yes, why do men like this? We don't have the monopoly on it.
Right. like most of the things that bring up, but
except for what was the alligator wrestling, bull riding, but not road rage. Got it.
That's right. There we go.
All right. So why do men engage in road rage? That's a hard engage in road rage.
Is it because of rage?
I mean, I think it's probably it, right? Why do I engage in road rage? It is just a guttural response to something that's happening. I think part of it is oftentimes the response is due to an incident in which you could possibly get hurt, right?
That's true. You're upset about something that is okay to be upset about.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of times while we're driving where it is okay to be upset. One of the things that, again, drives me wild that I know I do myself is when I am not engaging in my cell phone while I'm driving, but I see other people on their cell phones, they're the worst people on the planet. Now, when I'm on my cell phone, I have a reason to be on my cell phone.
And it was legit.
Of course, right?
Theirs isn't.
Yeah. It goes to this, why aren't they paying attention? Why aren't they doing what I would do in that situation? And I think that's where I don't have control over somebody else's actions. So therefore, their action bothered me, messed up my day, messed up that second of my day. So therefore, I'm going to get really, really angry about it. And then I'm either going to just move on past it or I'm going to dwell on it.
I think there's a part of road rage that might be important to acknowledge here too, that it's called road rage, not road emotional.
There you go.
Because I think there's something about being enclosed in a car kind of by yourself. No one's going to actually hear what you say about that guy who just cut you off because he was on his phone.
Right.
And it gets bigger. And I wonder if there's this safety of, I often have a lot of feelings about things and I have to hold them in, but you know what? I don't this time because it's going to just hit the windows. It's not going to go past that in my car. And so I'm going to fill up this entire car with rage sometimes.
That's a good point.
And so there's the why. I think the good of road rage is
Probably not. Probably not a whole lot good. But you can recognize your emotion.
Yeah,
We can
maybe
we can
the
give it
good
that
of road rage is if afterwards you go, what should I learn from this thing
There you
that
go.
happened? Sure.
There you go.
And maybe like, blowing some steam off in a way
I
that
don't know.
doesn't actually hurt other people.
Yeah. I find myself really getting into colorful language to myself.
Yeah.
So there's a
Creativity is
creativity.
important. That's great. That's a great.
I find use for certain fingers that maybe wouldn't have use otherwise.
You know what?
Right?
If you don't use it, you lose it.
There you
So
go.
you got to stretch everything out.
All right,
That's good.
let's move on to the not
Yeah,
so
but
good.
so most of this will be about what's
Yeah.
maybe not so good. And I think what sticks out for me is sometimes road rage turns into something more.
Yeah.
I know some people talk about, I'm worried, what if someone like gets out of the car and
Right.
pulls out a gun or
Right.
who knows what.
Follows me
Right,
or gets so upset that
Right.
yeah.
I've been on the highway and I've seen someone get cut off or something, and they sped up, got in front of the other car and slowed down, or follow someone 3 inches from their bumper, honking
Right.
and honking and
Yeah.
honking.
Drives me wild about that is not only are they putting themselves at risk, not only are they putting the person that they're angry with at risk, everybody else on the highway is then also at risk, right?
Yeah.
But again, I think you nailed it on the head. In my experience with rage is that you block out some of that thinking part of your brain. So because of that, you're not thinking that, oh, maybe I shouldn't slam on my brakes on the highway in downtown Atlanta going 75 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Absolutely. So I'll give you a story. I was driving, I was going straight. There was a gentleman that was in the lane to the right of me. His lane turned into a right turn only lane. I didn't recognize that he needed to come over. So when the light turned green, I proceeded to go forward. Well, this person thought that I was not letting them in, which, listen, if I did that, I apologize. I typically would have let the person come in.
Did you say, if I did that, I apologize? All right.
We're good.
Let's put a pin on that one.
So the gentleman got in front of me and he did one of the little brake check things. But what his rage became was something that made me laugh. He turned his windshield wiper fluid on and just left it on probably until he had no windshield wiper fluid left. So as he's driving,
talking about creativity here. This is beautiful.
As he's driving, my windshield now is getting splashed with whatever windshield wiper fluid that he has.
Cleaning your windshield, actually.
Exactly. So he was genuinely angry. I knew that. I got a one finger salute. I got the windshield wipers. I got the brake taps. I think it might have made him more frustrated because as the windshield wiper fluid was coming, I started to laugh because I thought it was hysterical. So
I've never seen that. That's amazing.
And I was like, you know what?
So angry. You didn't know he was trying to get in. You were just going along, and you missed the
cue. Right,
you missed the cue, and he went through his entire list of things. This man's probably got gallons of windshield wiper fluid in his garage because
I might be his thing, right? Yeah.
I feel like this kind of goes past a certain level.
In a million years, I don't know that I would have thought to engage my windshield wiper fluid in a fit of rage.
Have you done it since?
I mean, I haven't done it that way since. I will say this. I recognize, though, when I'm driving now and I turn my windshield wiper fluid on, I do look in my rearview mirror to see, shoot, maybe I'm getting that person upset or maybe that person's angry about it.
See, what's good about road rage? You can learn to be more caring for other people based on someone who wasn't caring for you.
Exactly. So there's my road rage story. If we get lucky and the gentleman is listening, man, good job. It was funny.
Way to be creative.
I appreciated it.
I would love, just thinking about this, I wonder, do you have creative ways that you show your road rage or have you experienced creative road rage? Please share that with us. Send something to our Instagram at Men Up Together Podcast or our email at questions@menuptogetherpodcast.com. We would share those, right? If you guys send those to us, we will come back to this in another episode because I think there could be some pretty funny things. So my road rage story, I had one of my daughters in the car.
Okay.
I think I was driving to your house to pick up my other daughter. I'm saying that because I don't necessarily drive extremely fast or reckless, but want to get there on time. It was quiet, Sunday morning. There were 2 cars on the road in front of me on a 2-lane road. One was like 3 car lengths ahead of the other. They were just in different lanes. Both of them going probably like 5-8 miles an hour below the speed limit.
Below the speed limit.
I'm not a fan of that. So I realized if I speed up enough, I will fit through that little 3-car window and be able to move on with my day and go my 8 miles above the speed limit, which feels better for me. So I did that. And I saw while I was getting next to the car and moving past, he noticed and he started to speed up and he got right on my bumper. And the second I passed the other slow car, he swerved to the other lane and swerved right in front of me and then booked it and took off. And so there's this other part of road rage for me that's like a pride thing. How dare you drive in front of me?
Yeah.
How dare you point out that I was probably on Instagram or TikTok
And not
instead
paying
of looking
attention,
at the road until I saw you come in front of me? There is something special about the feelings that we feel when we're in the car that makes room for that rage and makes us do silly things.
But again, like going back to what we talked about, he put you at risk. He
Yeah.
put your daughter at risk. He put the other car at risk. Like, but if we can take that 1/2 a second to recognize that eighth of a second that person may have put you behind your proposed schedule isn't going to change anything. How many times have you been driving and you see a person fly past you, or you get cut off by somebody, and then you both get stuck at the same light, right? And it's like, all right, was it worth it? I've been part of that where I've passed someone driving on a rural road or something. They come up behind me and you're like, hi. It's like, yep.
I like when you pull up next to them at a light and just like look over knowingly.
And then you look to yourself and you're like, all right, did I need to drive that aggressively, that recklessly? Did they need to drive that aggressively, that recklessly? Because again, the outcome didn't change. We both made it to the place where we were trying to go at the same time, whereas the outcome could have changed.
Yeah.
Somebody could have gotten hurt.
I think that actually delineates what is truly bad about road rage and what is just hard to hold internally. It's when you start to use your car to send a message, right?
Like
when you are coming up right behind someone or right in front of someone or swerving, you are not just trying to send a message by honking and what do you call it, the one finger salute, or even, you know what? Empty your windshield wiper fluid. That's funny, and that's not actually going to hurt anybody as long as he can see through his window that has continuous windshield wiper fluid going. But when you are using your car basically as a weapon in that moment, that's where
I would say it's could be funny in retrospect when nothing bad happens. I've had more than one or two funny occasions where my daughters have repeated something that I've said in the car in a fit of rage, anger. I use the phrase learn to drive every now and then with people that I believe, hey, you should learn to drive. And I remember my younger daughter asked me, Daddy, where do people learn to drive?
Some of them never do.
Exactly, right? I think that was probably one of my answers, right?
My dad used to love to tell a story. The first time he ever heard me curse was when I said, Daddy, what is an effing guy? It wasn't effing.
Sure.
And he was like, it's just someone who doesn't do good things, because he said that effing guy. And so,
I love that.
So yeah, we definitely can be careful for how this impacts
other
people in our car as well. But let's connect this now. All right, we're talking about in Why Do Men Like This? Road rage. Today, our main topic is going to be on apologizing.
Right.
And I think the connection here that makes sense for me is when we are in a fit of rage, we are probably impacted by someone else, something they did, and about to impact someone else. And we are not thinking about what it means to acknowledge, take responsibility, understand the way that is going to affect someone else. And that's different in a car. It's someone you're probably never going to recognize again. Hopefully it's not something that crosses a line to a point that it actually causes physical harm to somebody.
Yeah.
But there is that connection. Does that feel like it makes sense for you?
Yeah, I think it absolutely does. As I think about apologies and I think about what's required, it's a recognition aspect. And that fit of rage doesn't sometimes allow you to have that recognition.
Let's break up apologizing into 3 sections here.
Okay.
We'll talk about what might make it hard to apologize, but maybe important to do it anyways.
Necessary.
What can we learn about ineffective apologies? And then what can we learn about effective apologies?
I love it.
So let's get into it. This first section, we're going to do what makes it hard to apologize? Why is it hard to apologize? I know this is not just a male thing, but definitely something that I know myself, a lot of men who I've worked with and just talked to, apologizing is complicated. Let's get into that.
Yeah. So I think this is going to shock probably no one who's listened to us a lot. We're going to talk about vulnerability, right? I think apologizing at base level requires a level of vulnerability. It requires you to recognize that you potentially did something wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us like to recognize that we do things wrong. I think it's important for everybody to recognize that nobody is perfect. I surely not perfect, but we try to be. I think we all try inherently to be good people. And an apology is a recognition of, I didn't reach that mark in that situation. Therefore, I have to acknowledge that. And that could be hard.
I like what you're saying. You're saying, I have to acknowledge that I did something wrong. And I think what can be even trickier sometimes in hurting people who matter to us is it's not something that you meant to hurt people with. It's just knowing I did something that even might have just uniquely hurt you.
Right.
Accidental, coincidental, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I hurt you in a way that I wasn't foreseeing, wasn't trying, maybe even just because I didn't know. And
Interesting.
now, even though I didn't want to hurt you and thought everything was going to be okay, now I have to sit with your feelings about it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't mean it. If you just don't feel that way, we won't have to sit here.
Right.
It's easier said than done.
I think it's a really good point. You got to sit with their feelings. I think it's hard for us sometimes to sit with our own feelings, and apologizing requires you to recognize somebody else's feelings in addition to your own feelings.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do. That's not easy to sit with. And I think as a whole, it requires a deeper understanding of situations. Or
also, Bobby, it requires a deeper level of vulnerability.
hey, look at that. There's that word.
We're not back, aren't we?
We talk about with our girls what apologies mean, and apologies aren't just saying you're sorry, because that allows you to push the burden off of yourself. And I think that, why is it hard to apologize? Again, it's taking on an additional burden. It's taking on an additional responsibility that you didn't have 5 minutes ago. And again, I think most of the time when we apologize, it's not because we did something intentionally to hurt someone. It's because there's a recognition, hopefully a recognition of, oh, the thing that I did wasn't the right thing.
Right. And most people are choosing to get upset about something.
Yeah.
I think that's a place where we get stuck of like, you chose to feel that way.
Right.
It actually happened to me. If I could have chosen, I would have been fine.
Absolutely.
That would have been easier for everyone as well. I felt this way even though I don't want to.
Yeah.
And now you can't tell me not to because I'm already there. It'd be really nice if you said, oh, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So let me tell you why it's hard for me to apologize.
Go for it.
Because I think this part makes so much sense, right? Having to be vulnerable, your own feelings and responsibility and the feelings of someone else.
Okay.
And then for a lot of things that can be hard for people, we can trace it to past experience.
Yeah.
And for me, that feels very true for apologies. I have been in several long-term relationships. I think the way people call it is serial monogamous. And
but not one-sided like the manosphere. This is real definition. Okay, got it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah, serial monogamous. I had 6 people I was monogamous with at the same time.
Could require some apologies.
Ooh, there we go. Yeah. So in relationships early on, and talking like really early on, maybe 14, 16 years old, I learned that if someone is upset and you just apologize, if you do it good enough, you can make it go away.
Yeah.
And so I think I got a little bit trigger happy with that and would find that to be one of my easier strategies to go to. Oh, something's wrong. Boom. Just apologize. And apologizing is important. We will continue to get into that. Yeah. And what I think I did with a lot of those experiences is I used those instead of truly acknowledging my own experience as well. Because sometimes I was impacted too.
Right.
Sometimes something bothered me. Sometimes the way that they were doing something led me to react in a way to protect myself I never brought that part up. I said, if we are done talking about it, we must be okay. And if I apologize, we can completely be done talking about it. If I say how I felt, if I say something that mattered to me, then we have to keep talking about this, and I have to engage with those feelings that I'm having as well. So throughout my life, doing that for such a long period of time, then in my relationship with my wife, the first time I'm a little older, more mature, I'm realizing it's actually becoming harder to apologize. Maybe because this relationship matters so much that I don't want to be stuck in that cycle of resentment and holding so much in. Also, that's turning into taking maybe a little too long to get to an apology, or not apologizing in times that maybe if I didn't have those past experiences, I might have done it in an effective way.
Interesting. So what I hear is, so your difficulty in apologizing stems from this early on concept of, if I apologize, there the problem is gone.
Yeah.
I've resolved the issue.
If we are not talking about it, that must mean
Yeah.
the problem is gone.
So let me
So I
ask you,
apologize, and now they don't talk about it.
so I want to ask you a couple questions. Did it make you feel better? Did those apologies make you feel better? It might be hard to remember back to when you're 14
No,
years old.
I can remember
Yeah.
because that's the point.
Yeah.
Yes
Okay.
and no.
Right.
As humans, what we usually are seeking is something that will make us feel better
Yeah.
in the short term.
Right.
The apologies made me feel, now we are in conflict. Now we are having to talk about something. Now we aren't feeling connected and close, and the relationship isn't easy for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do a good enough apology, then we can go back to things being easy. Short term, that definitely made me feel better.
Okay.
The long term of that is that I'm building resentment after resentment after resentment, because none of what matters to me
Being
is
addressed.
being addressed, being brought up, being seen. And for sure, this is my fault. When I apologize, they didn't
They
know
want
to
to
say,
it out of you.
oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Is there anything you need me to know about you now that you might be hiding? Right? Like that's not their responsibility. I took the responsibility to get rid of this versus to hold space for myself. And so, yes, it made me feel better short term. No, it did not make me feel better. It made me feel worse long term, which is the world we live in, is the long-term world.
Right. It's you're everything you said, everything we do is based on our previous experience. Okay. Next question then. In those situations, did you find yourself having the same arguments that required that maybe ineffective apology? Did that happen more frequently because you weren't addressing a root cause, because you weren't addressing your emotions, feelings about it? And then secondarily to that, as you've maybe recognized this, as you've gotten older and grayer and all the things, watch it. Well, hey, it's here. Do you see that maybe when those apologies are more effective in your situations, that those situations maybe aren't reoccurring or as often?
I love that. So let's talk about the other part of this section.
Okay, let's do it.
Because I think this fits perfectly.
Perfect.
The other part of this section, right? It was, why is it hard to apologize, but maybe we should do it anyways?
Exactly.
Here's we should do it anyways.
Yeah.
You're nailing it, right? It's hard to apologize because you have to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
You have to take responsibility. But what are you actually getting out of it? Even if you're apologizing, you're saying, I apologize in an ineffective way.
Mhm.
I got a little defensive, like, no, I did a great job. That's not what you said.
Right.
You didn't say you did a bad job apologizing. You did an ineffective job.
Well,
because you completely erased yourself from this.
Yeah.
And you just said, sorry, now we don't talk about it anymore. So
Yeah.
you're saying this was a good, ineffective apology.
Bingo.
Right? You made them feel good.
Right. But you did not
sacrifice yourself.
Exactly.
And that's where, why should we do this anyways?
Yeah.
I think when we have an effective apology,
Mhm.
we are showing someone that we have a certain level of confidence, competence, and ability to sit with a true situation and say, I don't have to hide from this. That's what I was doing.
Mhm.
I was hiding.
Yeah.
We don't have to hide from this. We don't have to rush our way through to get better. We can sit and actually make something better.
Yeah.
And that creates safety and trust and strength in relationships and only shows you as someone who is a safe, trustworthy, strong person. So this again comes back to the men up together thesis of the more vulnerable we are, let's use a synonym, the more weakness we show, actually, the more strength we're creating and the more beautiful our relationships with other people can be and our taking care of ourselves can be. So I think that that's something that's going to keep coming back in this conversation as well. What is the impact of an ineffective or effective apology?
So when I think about why should we do it anyways, I took it like the most simplest way possible, because to me, why should we do it anyways? Because it shows that your feelings matter also. Yes, my feelings matter. I may have said or done something for whatever the reason is. I may or may not be upset with myself about that. And also, I'm recognizing that your feelings matter, whether you're reacting to it or not. And I think that's one of the hard things, is that oftentimes it's easy to recognize when an apology is warranted if the person that you're interacting with shows you an outward expression that bothered them, or an outward expression that they're angry, or an outward expression that they're frustrated. I think the harder apologies to recognize sometimes are the ones where there's no response, or it's a delayed response, because then I know from my perspective, and again, this may go back to that anxiety issue, which we've mentioned once, twice, 25 times. There's the concept, I have to now sit with this, and I'm going to start rotating this in my head of, well, did I actually say that? Did that bother them? Am I reading their expressions correctly? Am I reading, why haven't they texted me back today? Like, like, did I piss them off? Do I need to apologize for that? Even maybe for people that don't have some of those anxious tendencies, I think there's still that hard part of recognizing, when is that apology truly warranted? Different things.
I think something great that you're bringing up here now, you're creating the opposite experience of what I have right now, where I have the tendency to avoid apologies and find any other way to get into talking about something without an apology. What I think you're bringing up is, what if apologizing, even if it's not super clear that it has to be done, is just okay? Right? You're not giving something up. You're not losing power.
The concept that you give something up when you're apologizing, I hate that, because I don't believe that apologizing gives something up. Honestly, I think apologizing builds you up. Again, it's that recognition of your feelings, somebody else's feelings. So I'm not saying that's what you said, but I honestly love that those words came out of your mouth. There is this concept out there that if I'm going to apologize, I'm going to show weakness, vulnerability. This mindset of like, oh, I have to give up something to apologize. To me, it's a ridiculous kind of concept, because what are you giving up? You're giving up kindness. You're giving up compassion. You're giving up care. Right. No, those are all things that we should be exuding on a routine basis.
If you're worried, is this something I should apologize about? I'm realizing maybe they're not reaching back out to me and something could be wrong, even if they were okay and just busy. When you come to apologize, I think you're saying in such a great way, that's just another opportunity for strengthening the relationship, because now this person is going to learn about you. I do think about how I impact other people. When I get signals, that's easy. But even when I don't get clear signals, it still matters to me. I was still trying to attune to you, and I want to make sure you're okay. Now you're an even more trustworthy person. Now we have an even safer relationship. Now something is stronger. This guy's got confidence. He can just come out and say, hey, I hope I didn't bother you. I'm sorry I bothered you. I love that. So I think we're going to get.
Can I ask you a question real quick, though?
Yeah.
We talked last time, you brought up a concept that I'd heard before, and I loved it. You're the therapist. Could an apology be a bid for connection?
100%.
Okay.
I think that it probably is generally a bid for connection. I feel disconnected from you. Oftentimes when someone feels disconnected from you, they send out signals that then make you feel disconnected from them. They're disconnected because you hurt them. Now you're disconnected because they're moving away or criticizing you.
It's almost like two opposing magnets, and they're continuing to get further apart and pushing, because they're both pushing in the same direction.
Right. And so that apology is saying, hey, what can we flip the magnets? Can we try and do something that's going to create connection? That for sure. I love that. That is a bid for connection.
See, I learned something. I'm teaching.
I love that. It's sticking.
There we go.
Way to go, Bobby. Yeah. So let's close out this section
Yeah.
here, because a lot of what we're talking about, I think we're going to get even deeper on.
Yeah.
So this was, why is it hard to apologize, but
But why should we
important
do it
anyways? So now we're going to move into ineffective
Okay.
apologies. So for ineffective apologies,
To be clear, I have given ineffective apologies. I have been on the receiving end of ineffective apologies. And I would say that for me, both of those feel bad. At the
yeah,
end of the day, they don't feel good. They feel
you know when it
they
happened.
feel ineffective.
Yeah, you know when it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I actually that's a great way to think about the bid for connection. You're wanting something to feel good,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
when it doesn't come out right, you're knowing I still don't feel good. I still need the connection, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. To start, I actually found a piece of literature that I want to read that
Yeah.
can talk about maybe some ways that people think about apologizing. This poet wrote, "I'll take every single piece of the blame if you want me to. But you know that there's no innocent one in this game for two. I'll go, and then you go out and spill the truth. Can we both say the words and forget this?"
There's a lot to
Yeah,
unpack right
yeah.
there.
And then they go on to say, yeah, is it too late now to say sorry? Because I'm missing more than just your body.
I feel like I'm
Oh,
hearing
is it too late now to say sorry? Do you know maybe who this was?
it's a song.
Justin.
There we go.
This poet, Justin Bieber, with his attempt at an apology there.
Like
That. So this is in the ineffective apology.
So I heard a couple of things there. I heard the word "you" a lot in that apology or attempt at an apology.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things as we think about ineffective apologies is who is the apology for? Is the apology for me to feel better about myself? Is the apology for you to know that I recognize that I may have done something to affect you? Or is it a combination of both? And I think
Right.
that's where an apology should be for you as well, but maybe that shouldn't be the primary reason or the primary driver of that apology. Where
Yeah,
it's
like, can we just say the words and be done? Right.
Yeah.
That's what I heard in that. Can we just say the
Exactly.
words and be
Yeah.
done? I'll acknowledge it's not just for your body, but
So and I'll bring this up, right? You talked about your apologies, and I'm guilty of this. When I get in arguments with my wife, I will oftentimes do the I don't want to call it play the martyr game of just I want to end this conversation. So therefore, okay, I was wrong. I get it. It's my fault. Let's just move on. I may not even say I'm sorry. I will just own the blame.
But what you're saying is be quiet. Like,
Yeah,
can you just
can
be
we just
quiet?
can we just
already?
stop? Like,
Right,
like I don't need to
right.
hear your feelings anymore.
Right,
What
what-
you're thinking isn't valid. What you're wanting to say isn't valid. Let's just move forward. And my wife takes a little longer to process things. She thinks more deeply about some of these things, and then it takes her a little bit longer to process some of these things.
Right.
And I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Right?
And so
Transparency.
let's talk about some of the ways that it can come out that isn't
Oh.
good. Can we just be done with
Can
this?
we just be
Fine.
done?
I was wrong. You were right.
Yeah.
Right.
Another one.
Let's just-
Sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry you feel. So what don't you like about I'm sorry you feel that way?
I'm sorry you feel that way is taking all of the blame and putting it on you. I didn't make you feel that way.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. You just feel that way.
Right. You're almost flipping what the word sorry means. Like,
Exactly.
sorry, I'm gonna try not to do this again. When I grew up, I think it was my mom. She said, sorry means I'm gonna do my best to not do that again. I'm sorry you felt that way.
Yeah.
You're skipping the thing that made you feel that way.
Right.
I'm sorry that your reaction to that was faulty because you shouldn't have felt that way.
Right.
Right. That's right. That's not saying I can take some ownership over this.
We talk about this with my girls all the time. They hit each other by accident on purpose. They say something to each other by accident on purpose. They steal each other's toy. And what we say all the time is go check on your sister. Go check on that person. Check on their feelings. Check on what is making them feel that way. We tell them very frequently, no, don't just go and say, I'm sorry. Check on that person emotionally to understand what's driving that and what of my actions potentially caused that to be the problem. And I think that's where the difference is between I'm sorry you feel that way and did I do something to cause you to feel that way?
Right. And when you just go and say, dad told me I'm supposed to say the word sorry now,
Yeah,
then it's performative. It's not
absolutely.
taking responsibility.
Yeah.
And there's a few more
Okay.
ineffective apologies that stand out to me because there's two of them. That one, I guess we were talking a little bit about this, but one is instead of taking responsibility, we're making an excuse.
Mm.
I was tired.
I was hungry.
I was hungry. I was tired. I was hungry. I was drunk. Right?
There we
Like
go.
we
The
talked
three.
about
Three.
last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, what you're saying is, here's why you shouldn't be so impacted by that because
I had a
I
valid
didn't
reason.
mean it. I had an excuse, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna take kind of the responsibility
It's
away
almost
from myself.
I didn't mean to. I
Right.
didn't mean to do it, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't my
That doesn't
my
matter,
yeah, it
right?
doesn't matter what you meant to
Right.
do.
What you're
It's you
saying,
did.
what you're missing is that whether you meant to or not, now I feel this way. So one more is when you're giving the apology, is there something that is coming out that is seeking some pity?
Mm.
Often what that will look like is crying.
Crying.
And I think just saying if you are apologizing and crying at the same time, you're doing it wrong. That's not fair. But there's the type where you're realizing now I should probably be taking care of this person who's apologizing to me. Now it's about taking
Right.
care of them and shifting the focus.
Shifting that
to the person
emotional
who was
burden,
hurt.
right? If I do end up crying because it is something that's so emotional to me, I recognize that it was emotional to you. That's crying that's not performative. There's performative crying where it's I'm going to make you feel bad that I'm actually apologizing right now, and I'm going to try to flip that responsibility around.
Mm,
And I think most of us have been on the receiving end of that in some way. And I think it's hard sometimes for me because I want to comfort that other person, but if I don't think it's coming from a place of being genuine, it makes it even worse.
And even if it is genuine, you're losing the apology. Now I have to right. Even if you are that upset, now you're saying I'm putting my feelings over yours
Right.
because I was supposed to be apologizing, but I'm so
Right.
overwhelmed by the way that it's making me feel that now you have to take care of me. That could be hard. So let's also talk about an ineffective apology from the lens of even if you're saying it in a good way,
Mm-hmm.
someone else might not be able to receive it yet.
What's the phrase? Timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Again, I'm going to put my personal experiences into this. I have genuinely come to apologize to my wife for certain things, and she is not ready to receive an apology. And I have done one of two things. I have forced that apology upon her, which is ineffective. The more effective way to do that is to recognize that person's not ready to accept an apology and to come back at a time that they either are ready to accept it or to understand where that person is emotional.
Yeah, I like what you're bringing up here because I think what we're circling when it comes to an ineffective apology is just about always there's at least one aspect that's making it about us instead of the person who is receiving the apology.
Yeah.
I'm so uncomfortable with what's going on. I need you to come get my apology, even if you're not ready for it yet, so that we can be done with this. If you will accept my apology, I get to feel better. But if you're forcing it, then they're not going to feel
If it
better.
doesn't make you feel better, then it's not effective. Because again,
Yeah.
when we go back to why do we do it anyways, because it is important to recognize somebody else's emotions. You should not set out to fix their emotions. You should recognize those emotions, understand that emotions are real,
Right.
and it's okay for them to be experiencing those things.
Yeah.
It's also okay that you can't fix that, that you can't change a person's
Yeah.
emotional trajectory at that certain time. And I think that depending on the person, if I'm apologizing to you, Alex, for something, if you're not ready to accept that, well, that's not going to change your emotional trajectory if I force that apology into your brain.
It actually could be another rift.
Yeah.
And that can be stuck. So you're talking about apologies not being effective. We're talking about it. The way the apology comes out sometimes makes it not effective. You're talking about now too, the timing, sometimes meaning it's not effective, but sometimes timing can make it not effective because of buildup as well.
Okay.
I have another piece of literature
Okay.
for this one.
Now that I know that these pieces of literature, we're not talking about like the Lancet.
You don't know that.
Okay,
that might not be true for this one.
Okay.
So this person wrote, "You tell me that you need me, then you go and cut me down. But wait, you tell me that you're sorry. Didn't think I'd turn around and say that it's too late to apologize."
Ooh, I know this
It's
one.
too late. Right. Timbaland, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And so in this one, like, you've hurt me enough times in enough ways where it's not going to land.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, right, it could come out, it could be a good apology, but it's ineffective because, again, let's go back. What did my mom teach me? Sorry means
I'm going to try hard not
I'm
to
going
do
to
it.
try hard not to do this again. And if it keeps coming and it keeps coming and it keeps coming, what is the value of your apology? And if I've learned that your apologies don't have value, then
It's too late. Yeah. So I'm gonna be real literal on this. Too late to apologize. Is it ever too late to apologize to somebody for something? And obviously apologies are situation dependent. But is it ever truly too
Right.
late to have a genuine apology?
I'd say there isn't a specific concept of thing you can't apologize for because the time has elapsed too much, or the thing that you did is bad enough. I'm sure nuance we could get to, like if you killed one of my family members, I don't know if there's any way you can apologize for that. But if we're talking about just rifts in a relationship, I think it's more, what's the full situation?
Got it.
If I am so impacted by you never remembering to take out the garbage, it can get to a point where it's too late to apologize for that. And we're talking about the garbage.
Right.
It's just the situational experience. I can't trust you anymore. I told you this was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
We've been going through this for maybe 10 years now. The pain there is just too big.
Yeah. I think it's important. I agree with all of that. We'll never kill one of your family members.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think part of the driver of that question for me is, I wonder how, we're talking about the receiver of the apology. I wonder how much that receiver needs to remember or still be impacted by their emotional response to the event at the time that they're receiving that apology.
So you're saying there are statute of limitations for, if I did this thing and haven't apologized yet, how long would it be? I guess for that one, there would have to be an acknowledgement of, this was 3 years ago. And I'm just being able to make sense of a way to apologize to you. In some way, adding in this apology is also for how long you've had to hold this before I came to you. Well, I think there's room for that.
And then I wonder, like, is it the conversation of, do you want to open up old wounds with an apology? Do you remember 3 years ago when I did XYZ? Oh, no, I didn't remember, but now I do. So,
well, likely they do. And it's sitting in there.
Exactly.
And
if it's something that you feel that strongly about, right? This isn't 3 years ago. I took a Sprite out of your fridge. I didn't tell you about it, right? These are things that, if it's still something that
this is something that is
yeah.
sitting on our relationship,
yeah.
and we've still been stuck and just not found the right way to get here.
Yeah.
I think to some extent there is availability for that, but another part of it too is the receiver available, and you don't always get to have control over that, because sometimes someone's not available for an apology, not because of the amount of time or not because of the words that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
It could also just be because of some of their own stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Receiving an apology might also feel too vulnerable for them,
Right.
too scary for them. I'm giving up too much power in that situation where we're saying the person apologizing is actually gaining power and strength. So is the person receiving it, because they're saying, I would like to feel connected to you instead of angry at you.
I think the giving up power part on the receiving of the apology is almost the more important part of that, because I'm not saying that someone who is receiving an apology is like, I'm listening to the below me people apologize because I should be getting that. But it's all right, I'm not going to be pissed about that anymore. And maybe that's not what every apology results in, right? But again, I think that there is that part where you don't have to give up a piece of anything on either end of that apology.
What are you making yourself available for?
Right.
You're making yourself available for connection again, versus sometimes it feels like there is power or strength in a dynamic where you feel angry at the other person. In reality, stronger, safer relationships are the ones where you feel connected. And so sometimes we have to give away the ones that feel like the short-term power for the long-term power. The power of feeling connected to you is more important than the power of feeling angry at you. There's a lot of nuance to that. There's a lot of personal work probably that some people have to do if they have a hard time taking in an apology as well. But I like that you brought that up. What about if you're not ready for an apology too? So that was ineffective apologies. talked about why is it hard to, but still important. What's an ineffective apology? Let's now move into effective apologies.
Right. And to be clear, like, this isn't us telling you how to apologize. This isn't us telling you how to tell me how to say sorry. There's a song that says that, right?
I'm done with that. I won't do that again.
But I think this is our thought process around what does it look like for an apology to be effective.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
why do you do it part is the effective part. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't have other songs that I could bring because
no more poets.
Effective apologies don't create good emotional songs because people are talking about pain in their art, not about there's one time something hard happened, but then I felt good after.
And there's no one size fits all solution. And I think that's another important part is that each situation, each person, I think maybe the end result possibly
I would actually say that you can get more creative in ineffective apology.
Oh, absolutely.
Than you can in effective.
I would fully agree with
I
that.
think there is a formula.
Okay.
Right? There may not be a one size fits all, but I think there's a formula. You do have to know the party that you're responding to, but like the basic formula of an effective apology is always the same.
You're speaking my language now with formulas. Great. This is the black and white part of my brain going, all right, I might write this down. There's a y equals here going on.
Awesome. Good. So before that, of course, there has to be someone available to have that, again, out of your control. But if you do have that person, I think it fits it kind of like three main important parts of it.
Okay.
I think we've talked about most of this already. You have to acknowledge and validate their experience.
Mm-hmm.
I see that this hurt you. And of course, it makes sense. This hurts you.
Right.
I'm not going to argue with you that it shouldn't have hurt you. You shouldn't have to worry about. I'm just saying, I see this.
Yeah. No gaslighting. Not part of an effective apology, correct?
Yeah. Trying to make it their fault. Yeah, I don't
probably not
going to do it. Yeah.
All right. So you recognizing and validating an emotion.
Right. Okay. So actually, that's the next part. The next part is saying I can be responsible for the impact I had on you.
Okay.
And I think where people get stuck with that is, am I admitting to you that I meant to hurt you? But that isn't what it means to take responsibility for the impact we have on someone, because we can impact someone without the intention being to impact them in that way. I didn't mean to hurt you isn't something that feels better in an apology because you're missing that I actually hurt you.
I would argue that we probably don't set out to hurt people.
Yeah, generally.
Most of the time.
Right. There's so many different people that we can hurt and need to apologize to. Generally, this is happening mostly, though, with the people who are closer to us. Even at work, we're not trying to hurt people at work, but especially in our friendships, in our romantic relationships, in our family, we aren't trying to hurt someone. However, especially in your family, in your closest, most intimate relationships, you have the most power to hurt someone. It can take such nuance to actually hurt someone because of the expectation of you knowing someone more. Accidentally hurting someone, it's an accident. Your intention was not to hurt them. Right. An effective apology acknowledges that I hurt you and says, I acknowledge that I had this impact on you. I'm taking responsibility for having that.
I like that.
Right? You're not giving into saying, and I meant to, you're saying,
right,
even though I didn't mean to. Maybe that might actually be a meaningful part of an effective apology as well. It's saying, I didn't mean to hurt you, and I see how much I did.
You know what you just did there? You described vulnerability pretty strongly again.
We're back.
There you go. But no, it's right. I think an effective apology requires significant vulnerability.
Right. I'm not making an excuse. I'm showing you that I'm human with you.
Okay.
And I know that you're in pain too. Take it back to the first part of what we talked about. I'm uncomfortable that I hurt you, especially because it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm also uncomfortable knowing that you're sitting here in pain and mad at me.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to sit with you in that space. And because what you're sharing with someone when you're apologizing to them is, you matter to me.
Bingo. Bid
for connection. Telling someone they matter to you is a real good way to connect with them.
Okay, so Y equals, right? We had your emotions, validate the emotions. recognize,
validate and acknowledge the
Acknowledge,
experience and the emotions.
Second part was recognize that you had an impact on that, and whether it was intentional or unintentional, it happened.
And I am taking responsibility for
right?
that.
All right. Third part.
Third part usually is some version of, let me show you how I can do better.
Love it.
Making amends, I guess, would be the technical way of saying
You know what I
that.
didn't hear you say there, and I love that you didn't say it, is, and I'm not going to do it again. Because you know what?
Mhm.
You might. And it might be
now I'm going to
unintentional.
set you up to get even more upset when I do it again, because I
Right.
said I wouldn't.
Right. Because like you just said, it could be unintentional.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the things that I have apologized for are unintentional. I don't know that I set out to make certain people in my life
Mhm.
unhappy or hurt their feelings or make them angry about certain things from all aspects: work,
Yeah.
home, children, friends. So I think that it's super important for me when I think about an apology. I don't want to say, I promise I'm never going to do this again, because
Yeah.
it doesn't mean anything. What you said, though, makes sense. Is, here's what I'm going to do differently in the future.
Right. If you already helped them see that this was not your intention, but you did it anyways, and then you say, I'm never going to do it again, that almost feels like it's losing its authenticity.
Exactly.
Because you didn't mean to in the first place.
Right.
How are you going to guarantee I'm not going to do
Or
this
did you
again?
mean to in the first place and you were full of shit before?
That's even worse.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I very much did not hear you say that. And I thought that
Yeah.
was, it's an important part of it.
Right.
So.
Like the all or nothing is generally a trap anyways.
Right.
But
Exactly.
being able to say, here's what I want to do to try and show you that I'm going to keep doing better and keep doing better. And you know what? The apology for doing the same exact thing better be even better next time, but that's okay.
Yeah. So when we talk about an effective apology, I love that you laid out what a good apology could look like.
Mm-hmm.
The effective apology, though, I think requires that recipient also in some capacity to receive
Mm-hmm.
that apology.
Yeah.
So to fully build that effective apology, what does it look like on that recipient? And for that apology to truly be effective, does it mean that everything is okay and they're not angry, frustrated, emotional about it at all? Does it mean that you go back to the way things were before and everything's perfect and hunky-dory? I love the word hunky-dory. What's a resolution look like at the end of the day?
Yeah, I like that. I think there's a few different aspects of what you're bringing up here. There's, how do you know they're going to be ready to receive this?
Mm-hmm.
And there's, are we going to be back to where we were before this?
Yeah.
And so I want to split those up.
Okay.
Because the, how do I know you're going to be ready to receive this, has so much to do with what the state of your relationship with someone looks like. And saying the word relationship is just how you interact, right? It can be a work relationship, friend, or romantic relationship, but how has this relationship gone? Is there a safety for me to be vulnerable with you and receive your apology when you're being vulnerable with me?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that something that's feeling more performative or out of left field even? So I'm going to bring this into therapy a little bit, because a lot of couples who come to therapy have had an experience in their relationship that, in the type of therapy I do, we call it an attachment injury.
Okay.
And that's usually described as, there was a thing that happened that changed the feeling of safety that I had from that point on in my relationship.
Okay.
Exactly.
You guys name things pretty well. I like this.
Yeah.
For connection, attachment, injury. I like this.
Easy to remember that way. So sometimes people will come into couples therapy pretty close after that. An affair, generally an attachment injury. So not everyone comes to therapy right after affair if they go to therapy, but there are a lot of people who will go pretty soon after at least finding out that there was an affair. And some of what we have to do is kind of engage with why they're here and what that means. You don't get to the full, deep, effective apology. The word for that is attachment injury repair.
Hey, look at that.
You don't get the attachment injury repair, which I think is just the extreme effective apology, until you've first gone through an experience where the dynamic that keeps you disconnected is no longer as strong.
Okay.
It's no longer escalated.
Got it.
So you've talked a little bit about what it felt like to have this affair be part of your relationship. You talked about your dynamic in general. You've gotten to a point where you can see, oh, this is where we'll usually get lost in our back and forth, in our call back episode 4, pursuer and withdrawer
Yep,
dance
yep.
that we're getting lost in, you're actually getting closer to not being stuck in that anymore.
Okay.
Right? In order to receive that effective apology, you first have to have this safety that says, in general, we are seeing each other in a different light. We are feeling more closeness. We are feeling like this is a relationship that is a little bit safe and
Mhm.
verging on secure, right? And if there's an attachment injury, we don't have full secure attachment. And I just want to talk about one other major part of that type of
Yeah.
apology, because we talk about how important it is not to make excuses.
Yep.
And one of the major parts of that attachment injury repair process is being able to say, this is why I did it. Without it being an excuse, you have to have gone through that de-escalation
that.
together. Because what you're really saying is, I'm going to tell you the state I was in when I did this thing that hurt you.
It goes back to your equation, at least in my brain, right? You can see my brain work today. The Y equals part of that is the beginning part is recognizing those emotions and understanding not only theirs, but yours as well, where you are. An effective apology is not an excuse. It's a discussion. It's a description. And as part of that description, like you're saying, is this is where I was. I'm not making an excuse for what I did. I'm telling you this so that you can understand what maybe was causative in my behavior. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that, again, I'm just trying to pull all the pieces together, as you
That's
talk
great
about it.
because you're on it. And then there's one step further.
Okay.
Because if I can show you that I'm that introspective
Mhm.
of this is why I made that decision, in some way, I'm actually taking more responsibility. I'm saying I felt really disconnected in our relationship and we hadn't been talking so much and I didn't know how to reach you, or I tried and you weren't there for me. And so I found someone else who would give me that attention. You're saying I'm taking even more responsibility, knowing there was something wrong and this is how I handled it. There's an inherent that wasn't the right way to handle that.
Yeah.
And so with the formula that we gave before,
Yeah.
the last part was the amends. Here's what I'll do better. You're saying, I see this is the state I was in,
Right.
which led me to do this. I'm letting you know now, I know exactly what was happening to me. So if something like that is happening to me again next time, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to come to you and say, hey, I don't feel close to you. And I don't know how, because I tried these few things and they didn't land.
Right.
Now you're not saying, I'll never do it again. I will never get in that situation again. You're saying,
If I do.
we're human. You're
Right.
human. I'm human. We might get into that situation of disconnection again. I'm sitting here with you right now, acknowledging I would like to do better.
I really like that. I think it pulls it into perspective. One of the things that I'm hearing too is this is going to be a very simplified answer. Apologies aren't easy. They require work. They require thought. They require, like you were saying, the introspective thinking about yourself, your behavior, your actions, the thought about how that affects somebody else, right? And pulling that all together into a complete description. But I think all of this is still true of something that maybe is more of a minor thing, more of a, hey, maybe a work experience where, hey, I spoke over you during a conference call, or I shut you down during a conversation. Again, all of those same things are true. Here is why that happened. Here is where I was in that situation, what I was thinking, where I was emotionally at that time. I recognize now that that also put you in a place of XYZ.
So now let's come back. If you remember all the way back when we started this, there was two things we were going to
There was,
talk about.
yes.
And I think this is actually fitting really perfectly into the other thing.
Okay.
After the apology, if we have an effective apology, does that mean we get to go back to how things were before the apology? And I think we're talking about the affair.
Sure.
All of these things were happening and I went and did this. Next time I won't. Right? Even smaller things have a similar aspect to it. So I think in reality, if you're having a conversation that leads to an effective apology, you're coming past where you were before.
Interesting.
The reason the thing that hurt you or hurt me happened is now being addressed in a deeper way, is being acknowledged, is being taken care of in a different way. That is I think not just bringing us back to where like we kind of resented each other or felt disconnected or whatever. Now it's actually bringing connection that might bolster us against the similar issue in the future.
Yeah.
So even better.
Yeah. I don't think it brings you back to the same place. I think it brings you back to a different place. Hopefully that's a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with an effective apology, it should be a better place, but it's a different place.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're saying it's hopefully a better place, but it's definitely a different place.
Yeah.
If it doesn't take you to a better place, I think what's probably happening is you're actually on a trajectory downward.
Yeah.
If we weren't able to get back to a better place, little pieces are being taken away by all this, which I would argue means there's something slightly ineffective about the whole process. It might be a generally effective apology, but there's something missing.
I mean,
there.
think about all the things we talked about, right? An effective apology requiring emotional vulnerability, requiring a recognition, all of these things that lead up to that effective apology. I don't think you can go back to the exact same space.
Yeah.
You should be going back to a different place. I have a different relationship with you now because I was emotionally vulnerable with you, because I recognize something about you that maybe I didn't see before. So going back to the exact same place, like you just said, first off, maybe that's not where you wanted to be, because that's what led you to going down that path in the beginning or in the first place. But it should take you to a different spot, a different growth of that relationship.
Exactly. So let's close this out with talking for a second about what it's like to receive an apology. And we'll call it receive an effective apology.
Yeah.
Receive an ineffective apology however you want. Get away from me. Try again tomorrow. Whatever it is.
Redo.
But just the simple delineation for me. And I think I heard this when I was listening to something by Brene Brown once.
Yeah.
So
I do know who that is.
Yeah. So real men listen to Brene Brown.
Here we go.
She's great. But she was talking about how she receives apologies.
Okay.
And one way that you can receive apologies, I think the most common way that we kind of feel is the natural reception of an apology is to say, it's okay. And she said, when someone apologizes to her, she looks at me and she says, thank you. And the difference in meaning of those two things, I think, is huge.
Huge.
It's okay, right? We were talking about what do you get from apologizing and from receiving an apology. It's this strength in connection. And the way to get there is to focus on the person who was hurt. It's okay. Focuses back on, oh, let me make you feel better. You apologize. It's okay. You don't have to have feelings about this when in reality, you hurt me.
Yeah.
And you apologizing is acknowledging you have feelings about this too. And you probably should. That's how I know I matter to you.
Yeah.
And thank you is saying, yes, you did understand my experience. Yes, you did take responsibility. And that matters to me. I'm not going to try and make you feel better now. I'm going to receive something that was meant for you to give to me in the first place.
Really like
and
that.
Let's keep the integrity of that process.
I like that. I think it makes a lot of sense. If I were to give an apology, somebody says it's okay, I don't know how I would take that. Situation dependent. Thank you. That's it's an interesting way to think about it.
Right. And I think it kind of keeps the other person a little itchy.
Absolutely.
Like, I kind of wish you said it's okay.
Right.
You said we're good now.
Right.
Not just thank you, received.
Right.
Yeah.
No, interesting. I like that. Man, you therapists, you got something going on.
We work hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Yeah, I think to me, the effective reception is the recognition, too, that the person did take a second to do all of those things that we talked about to do an effective apology, as long as it was effective. But it's also okay to not just make them feel better about themselves.
Right.
And that thank you is that acceptance of all the work that went into that. And also the recognition that, yes, all of that may be true. Now, the thank you could be followed up by additional conversation.
Sure.
I don't think thank you probably is the end of the thank you. Click. Right.
And you know what? Maybe that's all you have.
Right.
And sometimes that's okay too.
Yeah. So anyway, I like that. That was really interesting. Really it's a fun conversation.
Yeah. I think apologizing is such a commonplace for people to be in position to need to do, but so complicated.
Well, and to go back to our conversation on Man Up, how many times have you heard in your life, "Well, just man, just get over it," right? Like,
Yeah, get over it.
no,
The perfect non-apology.
right? Like that's not even an ineffective apology. It's just a non-apology.
Non-apology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like this. This was interesting. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we've talked about our apologies, and now we're going to end with a new segment.
I love it.
And this segment is Ask a Therapist versus Ask a Regular Guy.
Regular guy.
You're the regular guy.
Therapist.
I'll be the therapist.
All right.
Maybe we'll switch next time.
Perfect. I love it.
We were talking to some people, and we got someone to give us a good one here.
Okay.
So thank you, Claude.
Claude.
What Claude said was, he said, my wife says I don't help enough with the kids.
Mm.
And then he added, I work 50 hours a week. Am I really at fault here?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So I need to caveat this for a second.
Mhm.
A couple of things. One, my wife's a therapist. Best friend's a therapist.
so yes,
Doing this podcasting thing.
we are setting a trap for you, Bobby.
So here's the thing. I hear this and I hear it deeply. And what I mean by that is I have said that same thing.
Mm.
Early on in having kids, I said that exact same thing. And I think now as I think about it, if that situation comes up, it's not my wife asking for help with the kids. It's my wife asking me for recognition
Mhm.
of what she's going through, of what is happening on a daily basis. If she wants help with the kids, like I would have received that question of no, can you just like do XYZ? This is, I think, a larger picture of I don't feel like we are a partner in the parenting aspect of this.
Mm.
I don't believe that parenting is 50-50 on an average. I think it always averages out differently than that. I think it's really hard if you try to target 50-50. I think that oftentimes it's skewed in one direction or the other. The reason I bring that up is just because I think that it's really important to recognize the holistic aspect of what's going on. His feelings are not invalidated of, no, I'm doing 50 hours of work and I'm bringing home income and I'm doing this and this and this
Mhm.
to support the family. Those are all valid feelings. And maybe that's the conversation that needs to happen of, this is how I'm showing up. I had that conversation with my wife. This is how I'm showing up. And it's in all the things. It's emptying the dishwasher in the morning. It's making you coffee in the morning. But if she's not hearing that and that's not resonating as how I need to show up in that situation, then I'm not filling that need. I'm not filling that gap. So
Mm.
I think this is all about understanding that this is not a singular issue of, no, like you're not changing enough diapers.
Yeah.
This is more of a holistic kind of question to me of like, what is going on in that situation? So I don't know, regular guy.
I like that.
Therapist.
Yeah.
What,
So
what's the answer?
as the therapist, I think it's actually kind of more obvious.
Okay.
You say, I'm sorry you feel that way. And then you're good to go, right?
Obviously. It sounds perfect. Or actually, I think it's, you're wrong.
No, well, the excuse is I work 50 hours a week.
Right.
Yeah. This is your problem. Yeah. And she's like, well, I work 45 hours a week. He didn't say like how much she works
Exactly.
or she stays home to
Yeah.
work as the person who takes care of the kids. But I like what you brought up because you're saying there must be something underneath this.
Yeah.
And I need to know a little bit more. And that's where I would urge this person to go. Start with being curious. Well, what is your experience like?
Mm.
Because I do work really long hours. And that must mean that you are with the kids a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that like for you? And I want to bring in a little bit of what we talked about in the beginning as well about the reason that I have a hard time apologizing. I think something that is important in this as well is it sounds like it's clear that he has some feelings about this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there might need to be room to invite that to be a conversation together. Tell me about what this is like, knowing that I work all these hours and you do a significant portion of taking care of our children.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what it's like for me to take on the burden of these things that I have to do because I'm a manager at work that my bigger boss relies on me for. And here's what it's like for me to feel like it's important to be a financial provider.
Yeah.
Have you had that conversation in your relationship? Is that something that he's just assuming is his role? Is she just assuming some things are her role
Right.
as well, and they're missing that?
That's a big point. I like that. The assumption of roles. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because that's a really common one in relationships, that we do the things that we do because at some point we just started doing them,
Yeah.
and the other person was like, well, that's not on my radar anymore
I'm not
because it
doing
just
that.
gets done. And
Right.
then you do this thing, and the other person says the same. Oh, that's not on my radar. And now we just get lost in it versus being able to say, well, I actually do X, Y, and Z. You may not realize it anymore.
Mhm.
And that takes a lot out of me.
Mhm.
And he might not realize what that's like for her. And she might also not realize some of those. I think you kind of named that as well. Here's
Yeah.
how I try to show up for you.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Well, Claude, thanks.
yeah.
That's fun. If you have any questions that you want to bring up, ask a therapist, ask a regular guy. All about the equine nutrition questions. So if you want to ask a therapist about how to feed your horse,
Ooh, that could be a good twist to this.
I very much want to know.
If we get certain types of submissions, we can shift it to ask a therapist, ask an equine
There we go.
nutritionist, and put
That'd
me
be
on the
fun.
spot there.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Cool. But this was good.
This is fun.
Yeah, I got to talk about some road rage, apologizing, trying out a new segment.
Yeah.
And so, as always, just want to remind people, share this with someone who might be a man, might want to understand men, might know a man.
Yeah.
I think anyone can get something out of this.
Maybe raising a future man.
Oh, yes. Raising a future man. We really appreciate the feedback we're getting on the way that this is impacting some people. And we really appreciate you guys for listening.
So like, follow, listen, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on any of those or all of those at the same time. Just mute one of them. With that, thank you. And looking forward to manning up together.
That's right. So we'll see you next week so we can continue to man up together.
The Man Up Together podcast was produced and edited by Alex Peskin and Bobby Jacobs. Special thank you to our wives, family, friends, and coworkers who have supported us in so many ways throughout this process. You can find us on Instagram at Man Up Together Podcast. And you can email us at questions@manuptogetherpodcast.com. If you are interested in joining us on this journey, please like, subscribe, and share this with someone you care about. Thank you for listening. See you next week.